build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet.
Hello guys, welcome back to another segment of Carnivore Muscle Ramblings, live Q&A, number 66. If you can hit me, let me know in the actual chat, because my soundbar is not going up and I don't have a clue why. So if you can hear me, just say yes or put anything in the chat to signify that you can. And for reference, if you can hear me, I've been trying to sort it out since 6:35. It's now 7:19. Brilliant. That's good. Good to hear it. Thank you very much. Anyway, today we're going to be answering some questions, of course. But before we get to that, I'm going to go through some of my contest preparation stuff. Looks like I'm likely going to be competing in June the 2nd this year. So in summer. It'll be a show in Aldershot, which is I think a town near me somewhere, maybe an hour away. An hour between me and Sophie, I reckon. So that'll be a good one to do. I'm going to share the screen, hopefully. And if I can see the stuff, the buttons. Brilliant. Okay. So this is my current state, my current physique, for what it's worth. This is like my start point. I'm not very good at moving this, so yeah, I don't know if you can see it that well, but that's basically, these are the mandatory poses that you do in bodybuilding. Front lat bicep, front lat spread, side chest, side tricep, back double, rear lat spread, front ab and thigh, and most muscular. So look at myself as a bodybuilder right now. I'm very proportional or proportionate. The only issue I have is the tummy, which I need to get rid of. Hopefully I'll be able to get rid of that by the time I'm actually in shape. But what was interesting was my silhouette's actually got better in the front double, and my tricep looks better in the side tricep, which is quite cool. I spent a long time trying to develop that. You have no idea. But anyway, quads are coming in, hamstrings coming in. I've so far lost about 3 kilos since, I don't know, a week and a half ago. So skin feels a lot tighter. I'm currently losing a lot of fat around this lower outside leg area on either side, so that's quite good. So when I get in shape, that should be quite a noteworthy part, as per usual. And obviously get more detail through the calf, hamstring, upper back, and a lot more through the abs as time goes on. I'll have more detail on the arms. I do need to get bigger delts, but I can't really work out how to do it. I've been caning them for 15 years. So if anyone's got any tips on how to build enormous delts, outside of doing side raises, rear delt flies and shoulder press, let me know. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment anyway. So hopefully that was useful for you guys to see. The current layout of my screen is messed up, so I need to change it again. There we go. Much better. Excellent. Anyway, guys, if you do have a question, let me know in the chat below. I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can. Got a speaking in the house at... That's not a big fan. That's Rick. Rick in the house at 6:02. 1 hour, 13 minutes early. Very good. Very good. Much earlier than me. Good job. Hi, it's big and nice to see you. Hit the like, mandatory. By the way, guys, if actually, Rick, if you check your emails, you have a message from me, so just let me know if you want to come on. And have sent you the link if that's something that you're able to do and are interested in doing right now. Got Declan House, nice to see you again from your short or long, I don't know, hiatus. Been missing in action on the dark side for a while. Interesting. Interesting to know what's going on. Got channel member Ben, very good, nice to see you. And member Matthew, nice to see you, thank you for joining. Good evening, excellent. Very good. Aldershot, Army Town, that's the one. You know the one. Yes, somewhere in Hampshire. It's like an hour from me in Bournemouth and an hour from Sophie in Woking, I think. So it's not a bad location. I'm so used to going like up and down the country to go to these. Like the last one I won was Mr. Wales in Wales, and that was a trek to get to. Absolute nightmare. Not a fan. Thirsty today. I always get more thirsty when I'm on a diet. Pop UK, nice to see you. Yeah, I did all his ones. I did like the 6-day split, twice a week stuff. I don't know. Didn't really do much. I do find my shoulders I can just train and train and train them, but nothing much happens. Like, I feel like I need to do more for shoulders. So I've put it in the front of my routine now rather than in the middle of the routine. The result of my hip scan. I'm still waiting for that. So I did have that, I think, 13 days ago, from memory. So I'm still waiting for a result of that. Hopefully it'll come through the post soon. What usually happens is you get a letter through the post saying, would you like to book an appointment? Yeah. I call them up. They eventually answer, book an appointment. Oh, we'll see you in 4 weeks. Okay. I just want the results of my scan now, really, not. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll get a call soon or a letter saying this is the problem, this is what we're going to do, or this is what we'd like to do. I can confirm it, then move from there. Yeah, I'm hopeful that it says something, because there is something wrong with my hip. I'm absolutely certain of it. The same way I was certain about something wrong with my back, but was misdiagnosed for like 12, 13 years. So, yeah. Yeah, check your email. First question from Andre. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you. Apologies, by the way, if anyone is waiting for Jerome to pop on tonight. He won't be here. It seems like in the US you guys have a lot of holidays. Children off school, so obviously can't attend, which is fair enough. But I look forward to seeing him in the near future, hopefully, when he's got a bit more time in his hands. He's quite busy at the moment, but that's his story to tell. The question is, any advice to someone who has been having heart palpitations? I never had that before. I am now in week 9 carnivore diet. I use salt in my meals and in my water. Despite popular belief, the most common cause of heart palpitations seems to be electrolyte imbalance, which could be potassium, calcium, or magnesium. My recommendation is to supplement with one of them, see what happens, give it 2 or 3 days. No effect, no benefit. Okay, try a different one of them, then try a different one of those. In terms of genetics, if the likelihood is if you're white, you have heritage from the northern hemisphere, it's probable that you, maybe 20%, 4% probable that you have some kind of calcium deficiency, at least in an acute phase, without long-term adaptation. So I'd recommend either just having, I don't know, some potassium citrate capsules, Keto Pro electrolytes, magnesium citrate, perhaps. Failing that, you might use calcium citrate, or just have some more milk, raw milk, Greek yogurt, something like that will do it. Do each of those things. I'd suggest maybe 2 or 3 days each. Work from there, and that will be something which is most likely to resolve your heart palpitations. Other issues outside of major medical health concern, perhaps eating too many carbs, but I don't think you're doing that. I know you're pretty strict with it, to be honest, so that's quite unlikely. Diluting your food down too much with too much water. You know, the more water you take in, the more electrolytes you eventually excrete out. You know, osmosis, active diffusion between the cells. Not the best case scenario, so I'd look at that as well. So most things I look at are, obviously outside of illness, the electrolytes. No, it doesn't mean you have to spend loads of money on any of these things. These things can be bought very cheaply, and they are a short-term remedy to a long-term problem. So over time, you'll notice that probably goes down a bit. It could be that you're in flux. You know, your food intake might be low relatively speaking for you. So maybe that's a reason why as well. Hi Mike, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Hey Carl, long time no see. Nice to see you. Bit better, thank you. Yeah, I'd say 95% there. I recorded the video today, which is quite good. I thought about recording my voice for the ebook. I got for about a page of it. I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this for 170, 180 pages. No way. I'm not perfectly anyway, so I'm going to get it dictated, basically, like spoken for me. And that should work out okay. But yeah, my ebook, for anyone that's wondering, the Beef Up Carnivore Bodybuilding ebook will be available in audio version imminently. I say that probably within the next week or two, depends how much stuff I've got on, for all paid channel members. It starts at 99p per calendar month, which works out something like $1.20 if you're from the US. And the other currencies, I don't know, but that's about what it is. The highest tier is, I believe, £8.99, which works out about $10-11. So for about $1 to $10-11, you can get an audio version of the ebook, which I think is excellent. It'll be on my YouTube channel, so you can pause it, start it, go, what have you. So yeah, check out that one when it comes out. Hello, Lucy. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon, Bob. Nice to see you as well. Yeah, you could try low salt, potassium salt, new salt, any of those. It might fix it. Also, might not. I don't know. That's why I say try it. I think we had a good discussion it last time on Team GB Carnivore. That's my avenue on electrolytes. Right, Andrew, nice to see you. I get my scans on CD straight after and view them at home because I hate waiting. Yeah, I did get my initial spinal before I had it fused. Obviously, I got my spine scanned, and that did show me on a disc, which you had to download a program for, put it in a separate CD-ROM, attached to my computer for a USB stick. It's a bit of a nightmare, but I understand the ease of it. But I did have to sign quite a few forms to get it, and wait for about 2 hours to get it through. For them to put it onto a CD for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. I go to a private hospital, so maybe it's a bit different. Maybe they're a bit, I don't know. But yeah, medical access rights, medical information accessibility is important. But yeah, it's good to see you're able to get your scans quickly. What about you, Jonathan? Hopefully you take it easy on your health. I still think you should do bodybuilding competition regardless. If you're fully prepared and healthy, I want to see you. Yeah, for sure. I'm hopeful for it. The only thing stopping me is my health. Fatigue, pain. I don't want to do what I did last time, which was have to use painkillers just to get on stage and just to be able to go to work before I actually did that. I was on painkillers every day, and there's no remedy for it. There's no amount of rest I could do throughout the day to sort of alleviate that. I'm just going to bring on Rick, which is Charger Mopar, on imminently, and he'll be able to help answer some questions today, so I'm very grateful to have him on. Hopefully I've pressed the right button. If I pressed it, I don't know. I think it's broken. Rick, are you on?
I'm here.
It's irritating. Okay. There you go, I can hear you. Are you on the screen?
I don't see you. Can you hear me?
No. I can hear you. Yes, the audience must be able to hear you. Yeah, sometimes I have to change the settings on this. That's why I was a bit like, what's going on?
Weird. Well, then again, whenever I come around, everything breaks.
Yeah, I think it might just be the video. Is there a button on your computer which says, like, start cam? That might be it.
Well, I can see myself
can
up
see
in
you.
the lower side. It shows Rick. I mean, the cam,
Yeah.
It says, I have stop cam, but I could stop it and restart it if you like.
Yeah, perhaps try that. It might be that.
Okay. All right. Restart?
No, you're still an invisible man.
Oh.
I can see your picture in a tiny little bit at the bottom. Yeah, I just can't see you on the big boy screen.
I know I'm ugly, but I don't think I'm that ugly.
It's technology, isn't it? But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm probably going to do some... Should we do some more questions? How does that sound?
It's fine.
Yeah. All right, we've got Baddest Cat in today. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, the audiobook will be good. You can just pause it for different sections. It'll be effectively like a YouTube video. No video. If you've got YouTube Premium, even better, you can put it like on your pocket. If you're driving to work or something, you know, something on a bus, I don't know. Play it for about half an hour, stop it, pause it, you know, then get back straight to it. So it's a good way to get more information. I'm very auditory in terms of my learning as well, so I appreciate a good ebook. So most of my podcasts I listen to, I don't watch anything really. But what about you, Rick? Do you listen to podcasts or watch stuff? What do you prefer to do?
A lot of times when I'm working, I'll put something on YouTube. That's pretty much what I do all the time. So you might see me pop in and out of different videos, or, I'll make a comment, but a lot of times I'll just do that and just listen in, and then I'll look in when I can. If I can get near the computer, I'll use a keyboard. If I try to use a portable device, well, that can be a little frustrating, especially when you got your hands full of dirt or grease or doing some other kind of work.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, better you than me. The worst
I
I
mean,
get is like dog food in my hands when I'm trying to pick up my dog's food, you know.
sometimes it's hard because if I'm eating, like, for example, heart attack chicken or a big steak, there's so much fat and grease and everything, you can barely hold on to your device anyway.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny that. Get some more questions. Oh, sorry, we've got Minimalist Carnivore as well. Nice to see you here. Thank you for joining. Maybe me and Minimalist Carnivore will do a YouTube video at one point. Maybe I have to think
That would be
about it.
nice.
We'll see how it works. Yeah, because but I think he's now 4 years in, and I'm 4 years in to Carnivore in about a week and a half. So we're in a similar sort of
Great.
stage of the game.
That's great. It's nice to have as many long-term carnivores as possible.
Yeah, it shows people can be done. I don't know. We've got a good question coming up soon, so I'm going to get to that one in a minute. But just want to address Andre quickly. Yeah, I'm strict carnivore. I only eat meat and eggs. 400 grams of. I think I could eat a little bit more, but don't know how I'll lose weight if I increase my food intake. Thanks. Well, try this. Drop down to 5 eggs and have a glass of milk. See if that resolves it. Do that for 2 or 3 days and see if that resolves it. Unless, of course, you know you are allergic to milk, in which case maybe not. I do sometimes meet people where they have this bizarre thing where they seem to have like this calcium deficiency or like the symptoms of it. Yeah, they're allergic to milk, and I'm like, well, how would you deal with that? I've got one client with that, and she just makes a way around it, using like bone broths and different things, like supplements. But how does it make sense? Like a natural human going around without supplements is able to like, supply enough calcium through their diet without eating dairy. Obviously, you got sardines and things with bones in it. Yeah, I get that, but to get a good amount of dairy in your diet, especially for physically active, you need a big amount of calcium in. So, it seems bizarre.
That's for sure. I know I eat a lot of dairy myself, but I don't drink milk.
Yeah, I don't do much cheese nowadays unless I can be bothered. The one day I did actually reduce my dairy intake by, I don't know, it worked out like 20 grams less carbs or something. I didn't feel right, and I was like, like I don't know how to describe it. It's like I'm edgy, like anxious. Like I've just taken like loads of Pardon me, drank too much. Like I've just taken loads of caffeine or something. That's how I feel, and it's not pleasant.
It's funny you mention that because if I don't eat my yogurt sometimes, I notice that my energy level decreases. I don't know what it is in the yogurt, but having yogurt daily, it always seems to give me that extra bit, especially when I'm working hard outside. And, since I don't eat carbohydrates, you'd say, well, you got to use fat, I guess, for energy. But if I don't have my yogurt or a cheese or some kind of dairy, I don't feel as good.
Yeah, I think the only component in it really is like the calcium. That's if you compare like meat to dairy, or the meat will have more of pretty much everything else, but the calcium is in the dairy. So it could be that. Maybe you're sweating a lot, Rick. I mean, if you weren't so active, you lived in a cooler climate, maybe it'd be a different situation.
That's a good point. And the other thing too is that, like, unlike a lot of the carnivores that I've seen online, I don't use any electrolytes. I barely even use salt. So I'm thinking that I'm getting a lot of what I need from the dairy. The more I think about it, that seems to be the only way.
Yeah, Andrew's got a good point here as well. Raw yogurt has MCTs. That's a good point. I didn't see the angle of it. Yeah, it's got some interesting facts in it for sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I may have read it, but it didn't come to mind, so that's an interesting take. We got a load of questions here, damn it. Whoops. Okay. Oh, sorry, we got Lambs as well. Thank you for joining. From the not Scandinavian country of, I can't remember now. Somewhere near the Scandinavian countries. He hates me for that. I'll never be able to live that down. Interestingly, I completely cut out dairy a month ago, and recently I was struggling with fatigue, muscle pain, and some nerve conduction issues. Add the dairy in, everything resolved. Yeah, it is funny that I really think there is something to it. think part of the problem is, like, a lot of people go, as you've probably seen, Rick, people are like, okay, I want to go strict carnivore. You know, I want to go meat only, just meat and salt. And yeah, I get the value in that. I'm not daft. I understand the point of it. But it's like, well, maybe you feel a bit better with dairy, and so why not have it? You know, and Andrew's a completely different case to pretty much all of us anyway. He's dealing with, well, he's trying to reduce his chances of getting any sort of cancer again. So I understand that. Perhaps the glucose in the dairy, I don't know, lactose maybe. Yeah, maybe leaky gut stuff. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. Got a question from Once a Week Man. If I wanted to make my own electrolyte, what should I include? At the moment, I just add sea salt to my drinking water. If you wanted to do it, I mean, I wouldn't specifically go about doing it unless there was a obvious problem, i.e. electrolyte deficiency. If I was to go about it, I'd probably look for something like potassium citrate, calcium citrate, magnesium citrate. Dosages, I can't exactly remember. I'd be looking at having potassium being the higher of all of them, assuming you're still salting your food. The next highest would probably be calcium, then probably magnesium, in that order. I'd also add in taurine to it at a dose of, assuming you're not on any blood pressure medications or lithium, I'd probably be looking at somewhere between 2 and maybe 5 grams per day for a lot of people. And that'll help with the restoration of the electrolyte balance. Rick, what electrolytes do you use?
I don't use any. In fact, if I use any salt, it's only on heart attack chicken, and that's about it. I never, ever put anything on beef, salt or even spices. I'm not into that. I just eat it straight. In fact, I had pork chops for lunch, and I didn't put anything on that either. But I did have it with my homemade yogurt. So I guess technically that may be the source of electrolytes that I'm using. I know, as you're mentioning, how important calcium is, and, and who knows what else is in there.
Yeah, who knows? That's one of the biggest questions with modern foods, I think. But yeah, we've had it for like the last 5,000 to 10,000 years in terms of like dairy, like consumed it, had it, stored it, found a way to get it in us. So some of us just seem to, do better with it. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, you've mentioned many times that your heritage, where you come from has a lot to do with it. And I think most of us that are of European background, we're probably we've been selected for those that can process dairy and those that can benefit from it. Because if you think about it, dairy is a very anabolic food. It's something that mammals use that so that they can raise their young. And I guess with us humans, eventually some people lose the ability to process milk, but others of us may have retained it. And I know in my case, dairy is very important, because when I've tried to give up dairy, I think that's the one thing that kept me going when I went on the vegetarian diet. I was still using yogurt and I was still using some dairy. So, and I think once I cut the dairy out, that's when I really went off the deep end and got just sick and constantly tired and digestive issues and everything. So I think for some of us, dairy is actually very important.
Yeah, I'm convinced there's something to it with the digestion as well. If I go to Sophie's house, sometimes we don't have access to good quality raw dairy, in which case obviously I'll either not have it or I'll just have the full fat milk. Like, I'll go to the shop, just buy the fattiest milk they got, basically, the Jersey cow milk, I think it is. Not optimal by any means. Over here, I get the raw milk, which is local to me. It's like 4 or 5 minute walk down the lane. When I have that, I don't tend to suffer as much. Like, my digestive system just seems better. And my stomach's flatter after meals, which is odd. I don't think it's worth researching, because I don't think enough people notice that anecdote to really justify it. It could just be chance. It could just be a bit psychosomatic, maybe. I don't know. But it's
I don't know. I've noticed that for years. I've had that characteristic. In fact, I just had yogurt with my lunch. When I have my pork chops, I always like to have some yogurt with it. It really makes a difference for me. Maybe you and I are the exception to the rule, but there's something in it that needs to be looked into.
Maybe it's our 6 foot plus bones, Rick.
It could be.
Yeah, Andrew says, I think it was the calcium, even though I eat a lot of sardines and mackerel. Yeah. I don't do sardines much anymore. I do mackerel sometimes. I'm not in a fishy phase at the moment. I think I did fish every day for about 2 weeks last month. And before that, I did it month before for about a month straight. I think I'm fished out for a bit. But, you know, sometimes I get that sort of inkling to have a bit more, and I'll have some. But yeah, it's interesting. Mike said, I'm still waiting for high-intensity interval sprints of Rick versus iguanas. This will be top training video in carnivore community. If you do any video like that, let me make the thumbnail for it. I'll make it brilliant.
Okay.
I can picture it now. That'd be good.
Is that like that picture with me in the bathtub with the bird?
Yeah, I sent that to Nicole. She said, she's like, I'll watch Rick's talk on the channel members live stream. And you're talking, I was just reading the comments below trying to find out where it was on timestamp. It's towards the end. Something about a duck flying into the story.
That happened to me.
You're not ugly enough to have you on, or just a picture of your iguana as an avatar. Yeah. Annoyingly, I can't just put Rick on like here somewhere, even if it's just a square of like a talking head or something. I don't know.
The first time I've ever seen it not work. That's weird.
I think it did happen before with us, I think.
One time when I was on, I couldn't see anybody else. All I saw was a background. That was what happened. Yeah, you're right.
That was
I
weird.
think everybody could see us.
Yeah. I just said, I'm very active. I know calcium is important for muscle contraction, so it makes sense. Yeah, funnily enough, actually, adding to the point we're on about, I bought a product about 10, 11 years ago, quite new on in my bodybuilding journey. And it was something called Korea Kick, and it was by a company called Muscle Tech. Now, it was obviously one of those like flashy, you know, patented ingredient sort of supplements. You know, I don't think it really did anything. But I used to have that, and it's before a gym session, I felt stronger. I think the ingredient was calcium isocaprolate or something along those lines. So yeah, that had calcium. I seem to train better, so I don't know. I've not experimented again since. I just don't buy calcium because I don't experience deficiency as long as I drink milk. But I must admit, I do have, you know, raw milk usually before a gym session with a bit of whey in it sometimes. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting as calcium talk. We've got a question from Kyle, which is, I know we're all about low carb, but for a hard gainer, would it be beneficial to consume 40 grams before high intensity training or HIIT session? I increased fat by 50 grams, but muscle still fatigue very quick, so frustrating. That's a good question. Rick, do you have a take on this? So he's very physically active, lean. He's looking at doing like interval training, you know, like sprints and rows and stuff, and skipping rope, maybe, I don't know. He's tried adding fats, but he's not seemed to getting that performance benefit. So what would you say?
Well, you know what? If he's not getting a benefit, that means you definitely have to change something. It may not be the worst thing in the world to try to add a natural carbohydrate source just to see if it makes any difference. But I have a feeling it probably won't, because I know in my case, I mean, I don't work out right now, but I work hard all the time, moving furniture and items and whatever. And I've had days when I ate fruit and it actually worked against me. If I ate some fruit, I get like an initial boost, but then after that, I start to lose energy even faster. So in my case, I've always found that it would be better just to hit some more meat, you know, try to get some, maybe a fatty steak or a nice heart attack burger or something, and then go with that. But I think for most people, I mean, unless you're one of those people that has some kind of carbohydrate addiction, and in that case, I think it would be more of a problem if you're eating something like bread or chips or something like that, because I know a lot of people that I work with, they just snack on this stuff all the time. I tell them you might as well be cattle because all you do is graze all day. But I'm thinking if you want to try it, you might try something like, well, if you can tolerate them, maybe a potato or maybe, you know, some type of fruit or something that you could eat and just see what your performance is. Try it for a few days. If it doesn't do anything, then don't do it anymore. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I know Kyle takes it seriously. He's not someone who, you know, cares much for adding loads of carbs. I think he has berries sometimes, stuff like that, and a bit of yogurt, which isn't really a problem, I don't think. My kind of thought is, do you have any underlying pathology? So, is your thyroid underactive? Is you in a point of overtraining? You know, there's loads of different things, levers you can pull beforehand. But, you know, in the short term, yeah, try it. Try it for a week. You know, add in 50 grams of carbs and see what it does. You might notice a benefit, you might not. Just be aware that, you know, there's always a placebo effect to some things. for me, there was no placebo effect with it. When I tried the meat, fruit, honey experiment, as you guys know, I did it for 3 days. You know, calories were equated for what it's worth. Protein was equated between the standard carnivore diet and the meat, fruit, honey diet. And I noticed a drop in performance, probably 10 to 15%. So that was my take on it. I got more lactic acid. I couldn't perform as well in the gym. I had brain fog. I felt hot and clammy. It didn't feel good. So that's my experience. You might experience differently. My suggestion is to probably watch less YouTubers that put out that information, personally. Ignore the bit about tolerance. You know, we're here for optimal health ultimately, then to build a physique second. Of course, with the fitness that comes alongside that sometimes. But yeah, I'd just be cautious about who you're listening to and where the information is coming from. A lot of these people will have a gimmick or an idea that opposes the general opinion of most people in this space because it sells. It's more approachable. You know, that's my kind of thought towards it. You know, it's like, who was it? You know, like there was a guy who called out Bart K for, well, there's been a few guys that called out Bart K for different things. You watch their video and they can't substantiate their claims. There's no sort of evidence to back it up. We've seen that time and time again. So, you know, in my opinion, just try the least abrasive thing first. Then if you've worked out there's no issues at all, you know, so you've tried a small amount of berries, you've tried a small amount of yogurt, then maybe go towards having a blood test, then go towards having, you know, 50 grams of whatever carbs, I don't know, rice or something, and see if that benefits you at all. You might notice no benefit at all. Just be conscious that some people, or a lot of people, are addicted to carbs, sugars. So, you know, I'm one of them, so I've got to be quite careful to avoid them. I must admit now, though, Rick, I'm a lot better than I used to be. Like, so the first year carnivore, Sophie was making me like this birthday cake and crispy things. No, sorry, that was my third or second year, I can't remember. When I started anyway, I went to birthday or something and I had like loads of cake and I was like, oh, this is a bad idea. Next year, carnivore, bit less. Last year, even less. So I'm getting better at moderating, and I think it's more just because I listen to my body's reactions to food.
Right.
So I always tell people, you know, track out of 10, write some notes, how you feel before, during, and after these foods. Generally, people don't feel better after them, in my experience. So, you know.
See, that's the thing, you know, results speak for themselves. Anybody can make up a story. Anybody can say whatever they want. Look at the idiot vegan that you were critiquing, all the claims that he makes. None of them make any sense. But yet, people believe them. But see, you and I, we think different. We believe in results. You try something, you take detailed, like you did with the fruit and honey experiment. Make detailed data and look at it and see what the result is. You know, people can tell you anything, but you're going to know pretty quickly if you can't get the results that you want from the things that you do, then it didn't work. And no matter what anybody says, no amount of positive thinking, no amount of, you know, snake oil salesmanship is going to change that.
Yeah, results matter. I think a lot of the time, like, because I spoke, Rick, I'm a bit like you, so in a different kind of sense. So I do watch most people's videos that come out. You know, the people that I do follow. So Nicole, I don't know, Bart, Chafee, Baker. Sometimes, you know, that's all. So I get what people's angles are. Ultimately, you kind of listen to their anecdotes, and oftentimes they match your own. You think, well, if I've spoken to a few hundred people for this situation, and this has worked for the majority of people, then that gets added to their, you know, subject group, participant group, whatever people they've met. Then you add it to someone else's, it's like, okay, broadly speaking, this is what I think 95, 99% of the time, what have you. You know, what gets results is, you know, all the biohacks we say. 9 times out of 10, the people that don't get the results are neglecting themselves in one way or another. You know, we're here to sort of learn and get better of different things, and I think people don't always address everything. You know, like, so I have a grounding sheet in my pillow. I try to get early sunlight exposure. I don't get nighttime exposure because I'm sat in front of a computer most of the time. But blue blocking glasses, you know, I do my best with what I've got. Lower deuterium water, so Evian water, which does spell naive backwards, but I don't care. I seem to like it. I don't mind spending $1.30 per bottle when I drink about one bottle a day. So it doesn't break the bank for me, if that makes sense. But there's loads of angles you could take in it, and some people just need a bit more time. Myself, I was quite fortunate. I actually made my 4-year carnivore video today. One of the points I made was most people experience a massive dip in performance for about a week or two in the gym when they go from carb diet to carnivore diet. I didn't really at all. I had about a 2-week period where it was a bit not that great. Then I was back up to normal, and I just increased from there. So we've all got different experiences, and I seem to transition very well in that sense. So I was eating like 1,000 grams of carbs a day, and for anyone that's wondering, that's like,
wow,
I don't know, 50 bananas a day worth of carbs.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. I was eating a lot of Haribo and rice. So, but you kind of get the picture. Like I did a carb diet and I went to a carnivore diet and I didn't have issues. Then other people will eat a tenth of what I eat, then go to carnivore, then still struggle. So who knows?
Well, that's the problem. And like you said before, there's people out there that are so addicted to carbohydrates. Once they eat something, some chips or, a cookie or a candy bar or whatever, then they fall off the deep end. Next thing you know, they're slipping on the duck excrement and falling in the duck food, and that becomes their whole life. So it's just, I don't know how to say it, but I know in my case, if I eat a banana, I'm not going to crave another. I've eaten it just as a dare or just because I had nothing else to eat. And thankfully, I haven't had to eat one in a long time. But then again, you give me a big, delicious steak, and I'll have one. And then if there's any left over, I'll have more. You know how it is when we used to have these events. Sometimes we'd have a meet and greet or whatever for the business, and there'd be different types of food. And of course, there'd be meat and vegetables and the duck food and all that stuff. And there's always leftovers. And I always go home with the leftovers because I'd feed it to the ducks. But, if there was any meat left over, it never made it to the ducks, because sometimes, like when I was driving home, if I had to go an hour away where we had our get together, on the way home, I'm eating pieces of beef, chicken or whatever, because the meat is so tempting. The smell of it, I keep looking at it, and I start getting this craving. So I can identify a little bit with some of the people that eat the snack foods. But to me, it's the meat that really, I get really, I don't know how to describe it, but it's, I don't know if it's a craving or it's just, I get a certain amount of pleasure from eating the meat because it feels so good afterwards. But if I was to eat a lot of fruit, I feel bad. If I have, let's say, 3 bananas, and I've done that as a dare, I feel terrible. I mean, honestly, my stomach starts to do things that it normally doesn't do. It starts making noises, and then I keep burping up banana taste, which is disgusting. That's like if the times that I've tried to drink a soda, you just keep burping up that nasty soda gas, and then you get sick, and then it's bad. And then when you eat a lot of fruit, of course, you get the gas coming out the other side. So when I see a piece of fruit, all I think about is the negative effects. But on the other hand, when I see a piece of meat, I think about the delicious taste, the satisfying feel afterwards, plus the relaxation, which a lot of people don't talk about. When you eat a lot of fruit, you get on edge. If you get in a room with a lot of people and you get distracted. And then I know people that are like this. They try to talk to them and they say, oh, I can't concentrate with all this noise going on in the background. I'm in the same room and it doesn't bother me. Because when you've had a fatty steak or even heart attack chicken, it seems to be calming. But when you eat those carbohydrate heavy foods like fruit, it's the opposite. And sometimes I forget what I'm doing. I'll lose something. I'll go somewhere. Oh, where's my wallet? Where's my keys? But as long as I keep eating the meat, I don't have that problem. So I don't know what that's all about, but it might be the blood sugar going up and down. Who knows?
Yeah, most probably. I mean, I did a diet where I didn't get rid of dairy, but I eliminated most dairy sources for about a week. I was staring at my brother and I was not feeling great at the time. This is maybe a year ago. So I was on YouTube at the time, but I was just looking after the dog or something like that, I don't know. Anyway, so I was doing like beef and eggs, a small amount of butter, and that was about it each day. I did feel absurdly calm, like you could like get a firework next to me, I wouldn't really budge or anything, That was quite a profound feeling, but I think the more low carb, low food mass intake you get, so like carnivore diet, high in fat, the more that comes apparent. Definitely suppresses cortisol and adrenaline hormones, which I'm trying to get a lot of people to work at in the moment. I've got a lot of people that I'm working with right now that I wouldn't necessarily say high stress or high strung people, but just people that are very busy. They the diet needs to match what you're doing throughout the day. A lot of people are on very high protein, lowish fat diets, which I think is part of the problem. Like me at the moment, which is why I'm so easily to wind up. I've actually, Rick, I've actually got rid of my Facebook as of tonight, so I've got more
Oh,
time to spend doing more useful things like educating myself and learning stuff about nutrition that I should know.
that's good. I haven't
Yeah,
used Facebook in a while. I may have a profile there. I just don't check on it. It seemed like such a waste of time.
yeah, I've got rid of it off on and off in the past few times, but it's just not really, it's not really serving me. Like, for example, I post on a lot of Facebook forums and groups and things just to try and give people advice. Like I'll say, oh, this is a good video you might find useful. You know, it talks about the problem you've got, and I've had a lot of success with clients doing this intervention, what have you. I mean, you
Hmm.
get, oh no, I wouldn't try that. It doesn't sound right. Well, okay, fine, fair enough. You don't have to take my advice. Here's the video anyway. But you get people so abrupt and like just spiteful, nasty, and it's like, oh, I can't be asked that.
Hmm.
It seems to be like the 50 plus age group that I get mostly in. You know, waking up each day to nasty comments on my Facebook and Instagram. I go on YouTube
Hmm.
Studio. I get not at least one or two nasty comments every day on YouTube, and it's like, well, I don't deserve this. I'm not nasty to people. I treat people with respect.
I
You
wonder
know,
why
so
anybody would waste their time doing that. It just seems kind of stupid. I guess they're such a loser. They got nothing better to do.
yeah, well, it's like you know, Rick, and people that are watching this. I recommend watching Bart K's recent vegan debate with, I think, not Doctor Peter Rogers.
Yeah.
He doesn't act like a doctor. You go onto his
I'll-
channel and he complained about what Bart K said. In the comment section, it's like, "Oh, you're a meat industry troll. You don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna die of heart disease and atherosclerosis." I'm like, that's a very childlike kind of response to someone who just said, "I don't think you did very well in the debate, and all your points were countered successfully." You know, it's like you don't give a personal attack on someone if they're criticizing your work. Like if someone said to me, I don't believe in the comment you made about this in the video, and here's the reason why. Oh, fair enough. You don't have to believe me. Or if I'm contesting it, I'll say, well, this is where I come up with it, or this is a citation for it. Beyond that, you know, you don't need to go much further than that. It's each to their own. You know, Rick, if
Mhm.
you had bad blood from people or grief,
I don't know. It's just crazy, you know. But I've been criticized my whole life, so I'm used to it. You know, people say, "Oh, if you eat only meat, you're going to get a heart attack." I said, "Good. That's the goal. That's why I call it the heart attack diet." I've had people ask me, even on my videos, "Why do you call that heart attack? Or you want a heart attack?" I said, "It's a joke. You have to realize I started this as a form of protest. I was not starting this as a health food diet. I am not a dietitian. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person that was frustrated with the way the system was and wanted to try something different. And I learned my background's in engineering, and a lot of times you have to think different because when you build something, you never know what's going to happen to it. I mean, you could build an aircraft and have part of it fly off in the air. I mean, those things do happen. You could build
mm,
a car and it falls apart. You know, you could have an engine that you think is so great and in 6 months they're all blowing up. So when you're an engineer, you have to think, well, what they say is think outside the box. But I like to think of all the possibilities. And when I was growing up, and they were telling me that you need to eat more fruits and vegetables, and these foods are going to make you gain weight. And meanwhile, I'm skinny and short. I'm thinking, well, you know, why don't I just try something different? And that's what I learned a long time ago. And believe it or not, one of the things that taught me that was gardening, because when you're trying to grow vegetables and fruits, you have to battle with nature. You have insects, you have animals, you have all these things. Plus, you have to deal with the soil. And it's just a constant battle, adding fertilizer, putting chemicals and stuff like that. And then you walk outside, you look at an empty lot, you see a bunch of plants growing on their own, and somehow they're surviving without our attention. Say, you know what? Maybe I can do what that's doing. And you start to think differently. And next thing you know, it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't bother to pull the weeds. Maybe I shouldn't worry about the bugs. Maybe I should just let it do its own thing. And then things tend to balance themselves out. So when I was growing up, I thought, well, let me change my diet and see what happens. And I was expecting that heart attack. I was expecting to get sick. And instead, I felt better and I started growing. I go, oh, well, hey, as long as it works, I'm going with it. And that's been my way of doing things ever since. You know, if I can find something that works, I'll just go with it.
mm,
You know, what's the worst that can happen? Normally, before something bad happens, you're going to see the signs of it. But I don't see the signs of it. you got to have vitamin C or you're going to get sick. And I hardly ever got sick. Look, I had COVID. I tested positive for COVID on Friday. I'm still here. I feel great.
You sound
I
all right.
warned everybody. Huh?
Yeah, you sound all
It's
right.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think an engineering mind's useful. Like, there's someone called Ted Naiman. He's not that well. I don't think he's that well liked in our space online. But he did create something called the PE diet. I think, broadly speaking, it's a very useful tool for people to use to work out how much they need to eat. So basically, you have your protein amount, and your daily caloric amount for what it's worth. And he sort of says, if you elevate your protein a bit, get to a point where you sort of feel satiated, then let the rest be whatever they fall. So the fat and the carbs, you'll get most of the results. And I think he's accurate. I think you'll probably get most of the results just by having a diet, good amount of protein with a bit of carbs, a bit of fat in it. What is optimal though, I think, is a higher fat version and a lower carb version. But I think the problem is getting people to adhere to that is difficult. Because if you say to someone, hit this much protein a day and allow yourself this much carbs or fats or combination of both for the day, that's going to be more accessible. But people will take that at face value and just think it's a bad thing because he's recommending carbs. I think the idea around it's quite sound. But I used that when I competed. I looked at that model. I did elevate my protein. I did reduce my carbs and fats. It did work. I did get shredded. Probably going to do the same sort of practice again. Maybe not go up to 550 protein again, but I'll go probably pretty high, maybe 350 or something. But yeah, interesting. And Minimalist Carnivore said, yeah, I want to do a video one day. Yup, 4 years. Yeah, we'll have to do it at some point. What are your thoughts on glute bridges? Good question. I'm not a massive fan of them in that I think they're a bit of a waste of energy if you're already doing leg press and squats. I think perhaps if you're a female and you perhaps struggle to activate your glutes, which I know you're not, and that's something you're trying to really build up your glutes for some reason, maybe you do the glute bridges first to get some sort of pre-exhaustion, some activation, to feel the muscle that you're doing before you go to the heavy loading movements, which is going to be the squat or leg press sort of movement. Do I think they provide an additional benefit to your glutes alongside the other exercises I mentioned? Yes. Do I think it's enough to do it constantly week in, week out at the sacrifice of recovery capacity? Probably not. That's just my opinion though. Rick, what do you think about glute bridges, if you know what that is?
I wouldn't know the difference between a glute bridge and a bridge over the canal. But the only leg exercise that I do is pushing my truck when it breaks down and running after iguanas and riding a bike. That's my
so sprints and leg press sort of movement maybe.
Yeah.
Or squat sort of,
Well, that or when you have to lift up the transmission to put it on the transmission stand, you use your legs to help get it up. But that's about it until I start having a home gym and start working out. But when it comes to exercise, we know that you have extensive experience, and the point that you made earlier, I think, is very important. Keeping track of what's working and what's not working, and making sure that you're getting enough sleep and eating well, I think, is just as important. You'd be surprised what that can do.
Yeah, I hope everyone now that's watching is from UK is wearing the same or similar glasses to what I'm wearing, not staring at a screen. I know you look a bit wacky, but I don't care. Like, I'd rather sleep better tonight than worry about how I look on camera on a live stream I'm going to get 50 pence for at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. at night.
I think it's interesting, though, that this whole red glasses thing has become a thing because back in the 1980s, I put neon lights in my bedroom because it helped me sleep better. I had no idea that was even, the color made a difference. So, keep learning something new every day.
Yeah. I'm just going to set up my other camera now. Bear with me. I'm just fighting with technology.
You've got something from OBS Studio there.
Yeah, I've got 3 webcams that I use.
Oh. Or is he using OBS to select them, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I need to just sort this out quickly.
Okay.
There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, can you see me now?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, my camera timed out, so I use either this phone as a camera, This phone is a camera, or my webcam, or my phone. Sorry, my laptop webcam.
How do you
So,
how do you
yeah.
connect your phone? Just over Wi-Fi or?
Phones over Wi-Fi with an app called Droid OBS.
Oh,
It works
okay.
pretty good. It does work pretty good. I got that tip from my friend Dave Mack, who you know.
I use webcams that are wired to USB, and they're quite old. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
I
it
even
all
I even
works.
use
But
I've had to use in the past. I used a camcorder with RCA cable that was running back to the computer. So we're way back in the times here.
oh wow, yeah. We're back to where we were now, anyway. So that looks a bit better. Okay, I'm happy now. We can answer some more questions. Declan said eggshell is a good source of calcium. That's dairy free, definitely. Just hard to eat. That's all I find.
Yeah.
Calcium disrupts magnesium utilization and balance of electrolytes. It does, funnily enough, because it is a big. It does have a big atomic mass, which is absolutely true. So what I tend to do is I tend to have that. If I have a significant amount of dairy in my diet with a lot of calcium accompanied with it, I tend to have that in a smaller meal, generally speaking, usually before the gym. So by the point I actually have my next meal, it's got about 4 or 5 hours usually goes by the point I have my next meal. So I've got the pre-workout calcium benefit, if there is any. I don't think there is. I think there's a little bit. Then I've got the magnesium through my dietary intake throughout the rest of the day. I'm not absolutely concerned about splitting up calcium, magnesium, and different electrolytes to try and optimize performance and health outcomes. I don't think there's much to it, but I think there may be a small difference. I did look at this myself, but yeah, you can only fit so much inside a cell at once. I get where he's coming from, and it is true. It does have a cross inhibition mechanism. I have sheep and goat yogurt with exogenous ketones. Very good. Very good. I need to get some goat yogurt at some point. I do Parmesan cheese for no gallbladder and works well, but otherwise dairy is one of those that if you are good, go for it. I love it. Dairy, when you are not losing the weight you want to lose, is worth trying to go without and see, but again, testing and testing. Yeah, exactly. I think he's left the chat now, but yeah, I always look at the macronutrient intake before the dairy intake. If someone I'm working with, say, comes to me and they're not eating much food, they're otherwise healthy, and they're struggling to lose fat for some reason, yeah, I would look at the dairy intake, but it's usually a second or third port of call, usually. What else is there? Baddest cat. I seem to do well, including cheddar for the last few months. I haven't had the need for electrolyte supplements as well. I've also been carnivore for 16 months now, so I could have finally adapted. Yeah, perhaps. Cheddar's good. Definitely. We got Sophie in the chat. Probably not here still, because she's probably finished walking now. But Rick, you'll be glad to know she actually does probably a bit more activity than you sometimes now. She's doing walking on her treadmill.
That's good.
Yeah, in the evenings. Just a slow walk. She'll do a run sometimes, which is quite cool. I'm not allowed to use it. Definitely not.
It's nice to know that somebody actually uses a treadmill instead of just a lot of people I've seen use it as a clothes rack.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that a few times. When you go to sometimes you watch these bodybuilding cribs sort of videos, you sort of, oh, let's go to my garage and see my cars. You see a treadmill or a step mill or a rowing machine or something, and they're there with all their clothes and knickers hanging up on it, and I think it's hilarious. I do see that quite a bit. It's quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
Lambs is from Holland, right? I think that's it. Yeah, I always forget. I don't know why. I was thinking of making my own yogurt to increase the probiotic content. Good idea. You could do, and you could actually just buy pretty generic probiotics from your local shop, health food shop if you got one. It does work, and I have tried it. You just have to keep it a bit warm. Seems to work better with raw milk or raw yogurt if you can get it. You can buy kefir grains online quite cheap. I recommend that as well. Be warned, they do multiply in size or get bigger in size very, 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 very quickly. I started off with a tiny sachet like that, like a tablespoon worth. Now I've got like a giant 400-500 milliliter beaker worth of kefir over the last year, of just grains, like the little bubbly things. So be careful. You do have to sort of replenish it and whatnot. Rick, how do you make your yogurt, or just buy store bought?
You know, you can make yogurt from almost anything. And my experience has been, even if you use low quality dairy, all you have to do is let it ferment longer. I generally ferment 12 hours and up. So what I do, I have an oven that has a pilot light in it. It's a gas oven. It's around 100 degrees or so always in there. So I'll take either store-bought milk, or a lot of times I'll use powdered milk. They give away powdered milk when they have these, well, they haven't done it lately, but they have these I guess you call it food banks that they give to the poor people. And a lot of times they had this powdered milk that was either older, or it just, they were going to throw it out. So I said, give it to me. And then I take that, and what I do, I boil the water first, then I add the milk to it and stir it up. And then I pour it into jars, and I wait until it's cool enough where I can handle the jar without burning my hand. And then I go ahead and put whatever yogurt culture is in there. Now, you could use either a wild culture, you could actually get leaves and put it into milk. There's enough bacteria just on plants themselves, those lactobacillus, that will cause yogurt to form. Or you can go to the store, and normally I would go to the Aldi, and Aldi actually sells the yogurt. It's a live culture, a plain yogurt. They have the organic and the regular one. And you just take a spoonful of that and put it into each jar, and then put those into the oven. You know, it's not really with the oven on, but with the pilot light on to incubate. And then usually what I'll do that around maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then during the day, by the time I have lunch, which is 11, 12 o'clock, I'll open it up. I'll hold up the jar, see if it looks firm. And sometimes you'll get a little bit of whey that separates, and you can kind of look at it. When the yogurt is relatively smooth, then it's ready to go. Sometimes it may have different cultures, different lumpy parts or whatever, but it's very simple. You know, once you get used to doing it, you can do it very easily. It's very cheap because a lot less expensive than buying yogurt. And you know the culture is alive because any yogurt that can grow more yogurt has live cultures in it. And I've been doing this for 40 years, and I've had the culture. Oh, there I am. You fixed it.
Fixed it. I pressed a
In
button.
fact, I can show you. This is what remains of the yogurt I had today. I can go through one of these a day. These are the standard ball jars. I guess, what are they, like 2 pints or whatever it is? So I eat a lot of dairy. And then on top of that, this is the last little piece of my pork chops, which I was eating for lunch. And as you can see, I just basically stew them. I don't even really, I don't put them on the grill or anything. I just eat them like that. No salt, nothing else. Probably the most basic diet you've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm like that when I travel. I'm like, because when you travel, you know, you're not going to be eating like at home, like hot, warm food or whatever. So sometimes you say, oh, I'm going to get some cold beef patties from home and put a bit of cheese on it and just eat that cold. Sometimes I don't really care. But I don't like doing that very often though, because I think it kind of ruins your, I don't know, I feel like it kind of ruins your approach to food sometimes. Because when,
Really?
you know, when you eat, I mean, like, if I eat too much cold food, I just don't feel right. I don't know. I feel like it takes the novelty away a bit maybe. I think it's more psychological than like biological.
I've eaten a lot of cold food. In fact, the hamburger stew that I make, which is basically just ground beef, a lot of times I'll put that in the refrigerator. And if I'm on the road and I need to eat, I'll just eat it right out of the container. I use those metal containers. They're either stainless steel or porcelain enamel coated, and they have a lid on it. And what I'll do is I keep them in the refrigerator until I go to work, and I'll put it in my truck. And usually by the time that it's time for lunch, it will have thawed to the point. But I don't want it so warm that it's just going to rot. But it's still cold, but I'll eat it cold, no problem. And then if I want to heat it up, I'll usually put it on the engine if I have to go somewhere and just let it heat up. But I got used to eating cold meat. It doesn't bother me. I've had cold steaks and chicken. Chicken, though, is really not great when it's cold. I have a really hard time eating cold chicken. But cold beef is no problem. Even cold pork chops like this, no problem. But yeah, and another one, fish is another one that's not good when it's cold. For some reason, fish always tastes better. And iguana, definitely. Cold iguana is not tasty at all. You know, it's better when it's warm.
Yeah, another thing I notice is I don't fancy fish as much when I'm lean, like in very good shape. It's very strange. I don't know. I think a lot of this has something to do with, I don't know, cholesterol, sunlight absorption, vitamin D. I speculate. I need to like look into it more. But it's something I do notice. Like my seasonal wise, and as well like my body composition, it does affect my diet a lot. Like how I want food. Really bizarre. Got a question from Declan, which is: ever found use from supplementing MCT oils? Contemplated using it in the past in coffee. Not carnivore, but a common keto hack. Rick, have you ever had keto MCT oils?
The only time I've had MCT oil is maybe when I made soap out of coconut oil. I've never tried that refined oil. I never saw the purpose for it. In fact, I don't see this whole fascination with being in ketosis all the time. I mean, I've seen enough of Bart Kay's talks to see that it's really not that important. But I guess for somebody that's trying to lose weight, it could have benefit. But for me, there's no benefit. I've never been overweight in my life.
Yeah, for you it doesn't make, eating nutrient dense food for you is going to be the key, obviously. I think the point of MCT oils is it's, quite a quickly digestible fat by the sounds of it. Is in like it works, not like sugar, but a bit like sugar in terms of like how quickly you get it in your system. The other point is, the other point is I don't deal with like the liquid MCT oil at all. And I got, if you've watched the Team GB Carnivores, you know the guy, Richard Keto Pro, he promotes like an MCT oil powder, which I've used, and I don't get a stomach upset with it. I'll sometimes put it in coffee, but I don't have it deliberately. It's more just to add a bit of fat throughout the day. If I run out of like double cream or whatever, it's not something I deliberately choose to have. But he's recommended to me, fun enough, today, because I asked him about like pre-contest dieting and see what he thought about different supplements, and he said MCT powder that he does and the exogenous ketones. My kind of thought towards that is like ketone products, lower inflammation, things like that. But if you want to access your body fat and you're trying to get ripped, surely putting less in your system would work better for that. Does that make sense? What do you think towards that? Like, say someone's trying to lose weight or fat.
I've seen what he was talking about. I noticed, though, that he's not really into size like you are. He seems to be doing a lot of cycling now and sort of more of, outdoor activity. So I really, it's kind of different than somebody like, well, even me, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, I only go cycling when my van or truck won't run. I'm not out there trying to win any kind of race. And when I do go cycling, it's sort of like you ride easy and then you have to speed up to get in front of where the traffic is. So it's almost like not really endurance. It's more like, enjoy the ride, look around, watch the ducks and iguanas, and then go when you have to, and then let off. It's kind of back and forth. So being in ketosis, I don't really see the point. I'm not trying to get a super low body fat. In fact, I don't mind having a little extra body fat. I mean, if you look at me, even though I'm skinny, you can look at my face. I'm not like sunk in,
You're not sucked
like
in,
a lot of.
You're quite normal.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm normal. I'm skinny. The rest of my body is very thin, but my face has always been normal, even when I was thin. And I have a lot of body fat stored up. So for me, I don't need a fast acting fat. I could eat a bunch of lard, and you'd be surprised how much lard I can eat. I've eaten probably 7 or 8 tablespoons full of lard, and it doesn't bother me. Digestive system, I must have some supercharged gallbladder or something, because I can eat saturated fats and then I get satisfied. So once I've charged up with those fats, as I go through the day, I don't really need, it's not like I run out of energy. My energy is consistent all day. It's like consistent. Around this time of the day, most of the people I work with, they're falling asleep. They have a hard time. If they sit down, they're out. But me, no problem. So, but I guess for somebody that may have a dysfunctional metabolism, I could see where it would be a good keto hack. But for someone like me, I don't even think about being in ketosis. If I am, that's great, but I wouldn't know the difference.
Rick, you're like this. So my dad's not carnivore, pre-diabetic, quite athletic, but not muscular, and he looks about your age.
Really?
Yeah. He's 60 years old.
There you go.
How shocking is that? But I think the thing is, he's always been quite a low stress kind of person. When I say, I don't mean like not hard working. I just mean he doesn't. Like some people get tunnel vision and they get hyped up and always trying to seek out the next thing to do something. He's not like that at all. He's quite like you, like happy-go-lucky, quite a sort of calm, collective kind of person. I'm thinking now a lot of it is obviously the diet. His diet's not atrocious. Like he doesn't eat loads of food. Like he's not overweight. But I think a lot of it is your mind as well. Like the stress you put on your body. When I was in uni studying, I aged so much. Like my first year of uni, when I was 2015, I actually looked my age, and as the years went on, I probably aged about 8 to 10 years by the time I left uni. So yeah, I think it's like mental stress is something to do with it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's another thing that I've mentioned to people, that I've been able to do what I've done because I've deliberately tried to avoid the stress. That's why I have junky old house and old cars, because when I was growing up, it seemed like all the people that had junky houses lived longer. The ones that were hard driving and always trying to get ahead were the first ones to die. So I thought, what's the point? You push yourself hard and you end up in the grave. Okay, that's great, but I think that reducing the stress, and I guess it's the cortisol response too, because that messes with your hormones. And then some people, they seem to be driven to eat junk food. I noticed that some of the people that I know, when they get stressed, that's when they start hitting the sodas and the snacks, and it just seems to all fit together.
Yeah, it does make sense. I talk about that a lot with people in consultations. Like, I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10, and I'm working a lot at the moment with people with severe mental illness, so people that are paramedics, they've dealt with crisis situations, pediatric nurses, things like that. And yeah, a lot of the time it is, I can say to them, follow a carnivore diet, but I also say, look, go to bed at night, do something you enjoy, learn to relax, have a warm bath. They just need that confirmation to like do things that they want to do. A lot of people feel guilty for doing the things like relaxing. The mind and body isn't meant to be working 50 hours a week, 12 hours a day. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Just giving people that, you don't have to do these things that you don't enjoy.
Yeah. Some
Makes
people, they
sense.
just push themselves to the limit. They think that the harder they push, the more results they're going to get. And I say, look, when you're stuck in the mud, stepping on the gas isn't going to get you out any better than if you just relax and rock back and forth until you get out of the hole. So you want to dig your own grave? Yeah, you can dig it faster, but why not just enjoy the ride instead of trying to get everything done? And that people say, oh, time is money. I can only do so much. I'm behind. I'm like, well, that's okay. Just take a break. What's the big deal? You know,
Yeah,
It- I think I'll be around a lot longer than they are. They've burned themselves out and they're in the nursing home, and I'm still doing my thing. So we'll
exactly
see.
the same thing, chasing ducks and building stuff and try not to break anything.
That's right.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's what we're lacking in this world. Everybody thinks that they know everything. And I think a lot of times people just don't have the humility to just sit back and say, you know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, and I'm gonna let this person say whatever they want. I'm not gonna be offended by it, and that's it, because it's not worth it. Believe me, when you have as many vegan friends as I've had, and you've been told all the terrible things that are going to happen, you learn to go, okay, whatever. When I'm younger, I'd take it personally, but now it's like I don't care anymore. It's like you said, people the same way, and they don't look as old because they're not driving themselves to the edge.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think a lot of people have other people's expectations put onto them. Like sometimes I think of that like in a bit of a strange way. So I'll see like a vegan bodybuilding channel. I'm like, why are they better than me? What do they do that I don't do? And I look at everything they do. I'm like, everything I do is so much better than them. I'm like, what doesn't matter? The people that I'm bringing to my channel, to my following. I don't really consider myself a leader in that kind of sense, but like people that follow my stuff. They're much more pleasant people to deal with for the most part. So, what do they say? Law of attraction sort of thing. So you just put out a good vibe, a good message, and hopefully people follow through with that. Makes sense to me. But on the point of doing things you don't want to do, Mike's doing cold plunges in some lake. I probably should know it, but I don't know. He's doing a plunge. A lot of people are doing that. They go to my local gym at the moment. I'm like, why do you want to do that? They're like, oh, because it's good for your mitochondria. I'm like, yeah, but it can also be bad if you get sick. I don't do things I don't want to do, but what I will say is I do get some cold thermogenesis throughout the whole winter. So I usually sleep with my window open and the duvet kind of half off me. So my room right now is the coldest room in the house. So I do get a little element of cold plunging, but I don't despise it and I'm quite used to it. Then when I go outside during the day when it actually is cold, it doesn't feel that cold. So it's quite a handy little hack.
I'm the same way. I live in Miami, so it doesn't get cold very often. But if it's 45 degrees here, which is pretty rare, I just go outside in the underwear and I have no problem with it. I think the biggest problem is if somebody has to see me as skinny as I am, their eyes may fall out. But on the other hand, it doesn't bother me. And then when I go to take my shower, I crank the water all the way up, super hot. I mean, the thing's steaming. Anybody else would burn their skin off. Doesn't bother me. And then I kept my air conditioner. I crank it down 68 degrees or something, just so that it's nice and cold. Because my problem is, I can't even sleep with a blanket or anything because I'll sweat so much. It's ridiculous. So what I do, I just use a very thin sheet. It's so thin you can actually see the computer monitor in front of it, and that's enough to make me feel warm. So, and I had the window open. You know, it might be 50 something degrees at night. I have the window open. And that's the way it is. The only thing that bothers me is that if it's really cold, I'll get like sinuses that get kind of acting up. But the rest of me, I never feel cold. It's weird. And I don't get chapped lips either. But I used to laugh because that's because I eat so much lard and fat that there's no way that I could get
You get that film on your lips, don't you?
Yeah, all
I
the
get that
time. I
smell.
mean, if you look at me, I'm sure, my skin is probably covered in lard or tallow because everything is fat, and even my hands, and I do a lot of mechanical work, but you can see they're not really cracked or anything.
Not
I
that bad
use lard
considering,
and tallow.
Here's my tallow.
There
I've been
you
using
go.
this. I've been using it in my wrists like twice a day, every day for about a month now. I've got like 12 kilos of it, so why not? I usually put a bit
It
on
works.
my wrists and a bit on my forehead.
Yeah,
Like that.
it works, doesn't it?
It doesn't smell like you'd think, like, oh, you're gonna smell like fat. Not really. It just smells like almost like nothing. Maybe I don't know.
Well, actually, I like it, Once in a while, if I use the lard that I use to cook my heart attack chicken, I may smell a little bit like heart attack chicken, but nobody gets close enough to me anyway to say anything. And they'd probably be afraid to say anything even if I did smell like heart attack chicken. So I don't worry about it. I live by myself, so what difference does it make? But, again, my parents told me for years that lard is going to give you acne, you're going to get breakouts, and it never happened. Never. All my
Do the
friends,
same
they
with
had.
olive oil, Rick, or avocado oil.
There you go. Exactly.
That'll do the job.
They always said that's going to make you break out. It's going to make you break out. And I was the only kid that never got acne, even though I was eating a heart attack diet. So it's so funny. And then now other people I know, now they're concerned because they have wrinkles on their forehead. So they're getting toxins injected into their skin so their face doesn't move. So they're like,
I
they
see a lot of
can't
people like that.
smile. To do this, they can't do that. I can do this and that, and they can't do any of that. So I think it's become normal now for people to have a motionless face, and it makes me feel a little weird. I get creeped out when I get around people like that. It's mostly women, but there's men that do it too, and it's just shocking to me. I think to myself, what's the difference? And one guy, he said he got Botox. I said, well, you got Botox on your face, but you're not in shape. What do you think is worse? To have wrinkles on your face but be in good shape, or to just be sort of pudgy, whatever, and then have a face that has no wrinkles? To me, that doesn't look good. I think that a male should have some type of lines around their face, but then have some lines on their body to show that they have some kind of strength and substance to them. But, and then the worry warts, they always have the lines on top of their head. I say, maybe you don't need Botox. Maybe you just need an attitude adjustment. You need to eat more fatty meat, and you won't be upset all the
Yeah.
time.
My dad says something similar for like 10 years ago. He's like, for every decade and age that you go up, try to gain about 5 to 10 pounds. I'm like, why? And he's like, oh, you gain a bit of fat and it sort of pushes out the wrinkles a bit. And I'm like, maybe. To be fair, the fattest people I know that are elderly, obviously outside of being obese, do look quite young.
Well, that's true.
So
Well, except
maybe there's
for
something to
down
it.
here, they all get that
The bottom bit.
turkey, that duck neck or whatever that is.
Yeah.
you know. And then
Yeah,
their neck gets so thick they can't even breathe at night.
that's like me when I was 125 kilos. Yep.
There you
I, was,
go.
I wasn't really fat, but I was maybe like 16, 17% body fat, but I did not breathe well. Like people used to listen to me breathe at night and they're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. So I recorded it one day and I was quite shocked. Yeah, we'll get back to the questions now, but yeah, hello everyone in the chat has currently joined or has already joined. And we've got a question from the Primal Timeline. I recommend actually following his channel. He actually makes good quality videos, which I quite enjoy watching and I find quite funny. So Rick, if you haven't checked him out yet, I'd definitely have a look.
I don't think I've seen it. Now to look.
Quite a new channel, newish sort of channel. The question is, I tend to train fast and then eat protein, beef when I get back from the gym. Is this a good, correct approach? I would probably eat if you're hungry in the morning. Then I'd eat again after the gym if you're hungry again. I think that's the magical approach. I don't think you can really outsmart your body in that sense. Now I did make a video with Jerome a while ago, and I probably uploaded it within the last month, maybe a few weeks. There's something like training fasted or fed on a carnivore diet. We go into the weeds quite a bit in that video. So check that one out. It's a nice little clip, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes long, but we go through all the ins and outs. Yeah, I don't think there's any magic to it at all. Just do what you find best and get the overall food intake during the day, assuming that allows you to train and recover sufficiently. And good to see you at last. There's usually a button, honestly. I'm so bad with this. You know all these different technologies you use. And Lamb said this before to me at some point. He's like, I swear they make all this tech hard to use deliberately so it goes wrong and you have to buy more stuff. I think that's true. Honestly, I had the wrong button pressed and I would never have known that unless I just randomly pressed it for the hell of it.
Well, I was in the tech field for quite a while, and I can tell you from practical experience, some of these people who write the software, they do tend to delight in all the problems they cause because they can make it a lot easier. But it's almost like job security, because when they make things that are hard to use, then people have to keep coming back for updates, and they have to keep, getting tutored and so on. So there is definitely a deliberate maliciousness that goes into this, because there is no way that this should be that difficult to use. If you've ever read one of their software manuals, it's deliberately cryptic. They never put it in terms of real world. They'll have, well, you have to do this to do this, but they never explain what this is. That they do it on purpose. And I know they've admitted it to me. I said, yeah, well, okay. But I don't like it, but that's the way they do it.
Yeah, I find it absurd. For me to run a YouTube channel, I need, as of my setup right now, about 5 or 6 different pieces of software. And that's not including the software my friend makes to mix my audio. How much he spends on that, I have no idea. Absolutely absurd. I think it's bizarre. You can't just say, all right, I pay whatever amount each year. I want a video to be in this quality using this microphone. I want to be able to adjust everything in one single thing. No, absolutely not. You can't do that. I think 20 years time it'll probably be a bit better, be more integrated. But yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. The fact is I have to record my audio on 2 separate programs to make any video I make. So the recording I make when guys watch a video, if you're a YouTube channel member, you can actually see how I make YouTube videos. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, it shows you the amount of complication it is just to make a video. It's absurd. And that guy was just on a minute ago, my friend from the Primal Timeline. He's an audio technician himself, or was in the past, and he had the same experience. But you can tell when he watches videos, you're able to say, oh, okay, I see why he's done it that way. He can critique his own stuff because he knows the difference between good and bad because he's got experience in the field. But we've got a question about hydration. What do you believe to be an appropriate range of hydration, 6'2", active gym routine, and 5 days a week for 25 minutes in sauna? I'd probably say depends on your latitude, depends on your weight. But if I was to guess, I'd say somewhere between 2.5 to 3 litres of water per day. It's quite individual though. If you're drinking 7 right now, for example, don't go straight to 2.5 to 3. I think that's probably too much for the drop. That's just my absolute guess. I mean, what do you think, Rick? How much water would you say for someone quite tall and active?
Well, quite tall and active, that's me. It depends on the climate, because at this time of the year, I may only drink 3 of these cups a day, and that's it. But in the summertime, when it's 95, 98 degrees, I could go through 2 gallons of water a day. So I think it's just a matter of just taking in enough so you don't start to feel tired. If you start getting a bit of headache, then you're dehydrated. I think with experience, though, you'll kind of know the amount. So, maybe a gallon a day would be an average for some people. But again, there's days when I hardly drink any water. And I think a lot of it, what I've noticed in my case, when I eat a lot of fatty meat, I don't drink as much water. And I'm not sure what the relationship is, but when let's say that if you eat a piece of fruit or something, it just makes you more thirsty. But if you're just eating fatty meat, eggs, and some dairy, you hardly have to drink anything.
I think when you skew the diet up a little bit, as in too much sugar, maybe too much potassium. If you're having a lot of fruit, there's a lot of potassium in fruit mostly. That can skew things around a bit. So obviously, if your body's getting too much sugar, too much storage, too much carbs, your body's trying to store the carbs, which needs more water. 3 molecules of, water for every gram of carbohydrate to store it as glycogen. Your body's trying to create more of a buffer in the blood, so enough blood volume so you don't have as much glycation from the sugar peaking too much in your blood. Yeah, that does make sense. And fat obviously doesn't cause those problems. Fat produces water in the breakdown of water to create metabolic water, low deuterium water. So yeah, I really think people just don't eat enough fat, drink too much water, take too many supplements. That's why it kind of goes back to, I don't think you can hack anything really. I don't think you can absolutely hack like hydration at least. Salt to taste, drink to thirst. If you're walking around in the gym, you're just drinking bottles of water just for the sake of it, do a set, drink some water, do a set, drink some water. I think you're doing it wrong. That's my opinion. I drink about 300 milliliters, so that's about that much in the gym when I'm training, over about a 40-minute period. That's definitely enough for me to get through the workout. My question is, if people are drinking stuff in between their sets, how bad is their hydration or is their ability to hydrate themselves? If they can't get through a minute of hard work to then have another bit of water, if you think about it logically, do you really need like 100 milliliters every time you take a sip from your bottle? It doesn't make sense.
Have you ever noticed on some of these vegan channels, even when they do their YouTube videos, they're constantly drinking water? I always thought that was funny because a lot of times you'll see me doing a video for an hour or more and you never see me drink any water. So I always wondered if that was part of it. It has to do with the carbohydrates, like you said. That's the only thing that makes sense. But when you're loaded up with fat and meat, I don't think you really need that much water. And like you're saying, your body may be creating its own water. I think at the very least, without all that blood sugar, like you said, you don't need the water to take that up. So why are you going to drink it?
I think people as well forget about, everything's on a quantum level. Breaks down into certain atoms which do certain things in the body. When you break down these things, they create other things. And people just don't realise that. They just see water, protein, carbs, fats. They don't think of the biochemistry around it. So that's why I like, Professor Bark Hay, Harrison Parnos, people that actually understand it. Because they break it down in a way that at least I understand. And they don't look at it in such a reductionist, myopic way. They try to look at the whole picture. So when, someone's asking Harry Sopanos a question, it'll be a question like, I don't know, how much protein do I need? That's when it comes up like every few weeks. And he'll be on a 20-25 minute tangent about it. We'll go through all the ins and outs because there's 100 different permutations of why high or low might be appropriate. And he'll go for each different variation. So that's why context is always so important for these questions. So if Dizzy Willow just said to me, I'm physically active, how much should I drink? Well, I don't know. How much do you weigh? How much do you exercise? What is your climate? He's giving me some information there, so it's helpful. But yeah, I'll probably say about 3 litres would probably be enough. I don't know. Who knows? Lambs has added some useful information. Metabolized fats render a lot of metabolic water, 1.1 milliliters per gram of fat. Yes, I noticed that. For me, it seems to be a bit more than that, I think. When I've been up to 380 grams of fat for a couple of weeks, I was drinking about a litre a day, maybe just over a litre, which for someone my weight is not a lot of fluid at all. So I think there is certainly something to it, and I think people just drink too much. Yeah. Gonna do some more questions, I think. Mike saying stuff about hyperplastic or hyperplasia or hypertrophy in fat cells and stuffs. I won't read it because I'm going to go in a minute. I'm quite tired, but I'm going to put it on the screen anyway, just so I have already read it, to be fair. No pillow. I like a pillow. I use about 4 pillows, but I've got a big head and quite wide shoulders, relatively speaking, so I can't sleep like that. The last time I slept like that was at my brother's. 2 pillows. My right shoulder was locked up for about 2 months. I couldn't do any decent shoulder press in the gym, so I'm quite careful nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Check out that video, definitely. The NHS still uses Windows XP. The health system in the UK, basically. And they're funded by the US like 60, 70 years ago, something like that. You're fobbing us off with rubbish, outdated crap.
I thought my computer was bad.
What do you run?
Linux.
Yeah. Oh, well. These updates are nuts. I think every week I've got to update something on my computer. Drives me nuts. Crystal said, I'm struggling mentally today. I binged last night on a rotisserie chicken. I wasn't hungry at all. I did contemplate purging, but thankfully did not. Struggle was still real, but at least it wasn't sugar. That's not too bad. Yeah, it's not the worst thing. Some people just binge eat on meat. I know someone that will go to the local shop and buy the chicken drumsticks you can sometimes get in the deli counter sort of thing. They'll eat a load of those. And I think, well, it's probably not the worst thing. It might be that tomorrow you sort of go back to your normal sort of eating plan. You don't eat as much, so maybe it'll even out. Who knows? Yeah, don't stress, small stuff. And now she's going to sweat it all out in the sauna. Yeah, best of luck, Crystal. I'm sure you'll be fine. That's a bit about it for the chat anyway. We've got through all the questions and all the stuffs. Very good.
Yep.
Do you have any concluding thoughts, Rick, about our segment tonight, other than it being disgraceful that I couldn't put you on the screen for most of it?
Well, technology can be a problem. I'll tell you one thing, though. I just got through fixing my phone, so I'm a happy guy. I was rewiring that. What happened? The cord got pulled out. So everything I own is old, but hey, it works. And, that's what I always say. If it's working, go with it. If it's not working, you need to make some changes. I think the biggest problem is everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants that hack or that shortcut. And there is no shortcut. It's just a process, constant adjustments. Eventually, you get as close to your goal as possible, but it's not going to happen overnight. And it's not going to happen by just listening to a bunch of nonsense from somebody that can't back it up. You have to go with somebody that has a proven record of having the success or going the way that you want to, and not just there to try to make some money off of you. Somebody that's actually putting out the information and giving you the knowledge that you need, and then you got to do your part. If you don't do your part, you're not going to be able to benefit from it.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Yeah, I've got a different approach now with, like, on that sort of note, with some of my clients now, I'm a bit more, I wouldn't say abrasive, but a bit more to the point. Oftentimes in the past, I'm quite an easygoing guy for the most part. Anyone that knows me on a personal level knows I'm quite a friendly, easygoing guy. But I'd sometimes be a bit wishy-washy. They'd say, "Oh, can I add this to my diet?" And I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, go on then if you really want it." Really should have said, "No, you're going down the wrong path here." I've taken that approach recently, and I've actually been thanked for it. So, just goes to show people sometimes want to be told what to do and need that firm hand sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, where can people find you, Rick, by the way?
Well, you know where you can find me. Just look on YouTube for Charger Mopar. All you have to do is put in either Heart Attack Chicken, Heart Attack Burger, Ducks, or Duck It, or something like that. Duck food. Duck food, I think, is my biggest, the term that most people know me for. Whenever you see somebody say, "Oh, that's duck food," you know who it is. So, yeah, it would be on YouTube. I don't do social media because I call it anti-social media. It seems like a waste of time. It's just a place where people, they say a bunch of nonsense. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. For the most part, I think the only use I get out of social media, honestly, is sharing my stuff, so it gets me a few more views sometimes. Yeah. Most days my brother will send me some links to something on Facebook, and I'll have to look at it that's about it, really. That's literally it. Some humor. Then for the rest of it, it's just argue with people online because they don't like a video I made or something. Oh, whatever. I'm too old for this. I'm 28 and I'm too old for it already.
You're too
So,
old.
yeah, I've aged significantly. I'm getting old, but yeah. So my next contest will be in June, Rick. I think you've mentioned that already. So what I'm going to try and do on these like live chats on Mondays is do some sort of update at the start, 5 to 10 minute talk, maybe some pictures or something like progress pictures. See where I'm at. Hopefully, it gives people some insights.
You're looking good so far.
I'm getting there. Yeah, I know what I can get off. I know roughly what I'll look like when I'm on stage. It's just like you said, pursuing that goal, making the small adjustments as time goes on. Just keep my head on straight. Remember to sleep and not, get locked up in this like late night videos on Nicole's channel or your channel, trying to like just catch up with the latest scoop. So,
well, my channel has been pretty quiet. I haven't put that much out there, and normally I don't like to put too many videos out. If I do put a video out, it's typically a very short video, because I don't want somebody to go on my channel and see an hour-long video. It's like, well, I try to limit it to 15 minutes or less, because I know the attention span today is pretty low, and like I said, a lot of times when I'm watching a video, I'm doing something else, which is what I would normally be doing. I might be like today. I've been in my communications closet fixing that mess, and I've almost got that done. In fact, I replaced a couple of these 66 blocks, and it's that's just me, but that's because I choose to have such old, obsolete equipment. But again, it works for me. I'd rather deal with something like that than dealing. To me, this is more comfortable than trying to use a cell phone, because
well, it's flat and just goes against your ear. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do
goes
this.
round.
You could be working around the house, doing whatever, and talking on this. I wish they made a cell phone that was like this, although they do make a Bluetooth headset. But yeah, so I make little adjustments to what I'm doing, and if it works, it works. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm just a quack anyway, so what difference does it make?
That's it. Yeah, I look forward to your videos when they come out. Usually, I'll wait for you to put a few up, then I'll download them all, then I'll watch them back to back to back, and see what's going on.
Well, I'm glad that you're watching them. There's a lot of videos I want to make. Now, my biggest problem has been I have some computer issues. Trying to edit videos together is a bit of a challenge, because I put 2 or 3 clips together and my software crashes. So I'm just waiting until I get another system, or I get it where it'll work. That's the biggest obstacle.
Rick, if you send it to me, I can always do that for you. I've done it for people in the past, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
So for all of Sophie's videos that you see, I edit them all. I just say, look, I'm going to dedicate half an hour to each one. That's it, and what comes out was what comes out. You can get a good amount done in that sort of period of time. But yeah, if you want me to do that, feel free to send me over on a Google Drive or something. I can create a shared folder.
Well, I'll send you when I get my iguana hunting videos together. I have a few short iguana videos, but I've been waiting for a good cold front so I could go out there and collect a bunch of them. I want to have a video where I can have like 4 or 5 iguanas in each hand, and then, be like the iguana hunter, sort of like Miami's version of Crocodile Dundee or something like that. So, and then, catch, clean, and cook, because I think that'd be a good one. That, or eventually I was going to do a duck cooking video, but my vegan friend, she talked me into letting him go in exchange for steak. So he's still roaming around by the canal. I just went by the canal yesterday when I was riding my bike, and he was there with his female friends. So, I sent her a video. She said, "Did you eat him?" I said, "No, I did not eat him. I'm a man of my word. I'm not going to cook him. I mean, if somebody else eats him, what am I going to do? But it won't be me." But eventually, when I do a duck removal and I have a lot of ducks, I'm going to go ahead and make a video of how to catch, clean, and cook a duck, and then the different ways of making it. You can, stew it or heart attack it or whatever. So it's coming.
Yeah, I look forward to that one. Yeah, just send me whatever, and I'll do my best to make it as entertaining as possible.
There you go.
I think some of your videos, I look at them and think, I know you're limited with like the software and like the extra stuff you have, the apps, what have you. But some of them, I think, wow, you've got a lot of views in this video just for the sheer content itself. So that's quite telling of the quality and the entertainment and education that you do provide for what you do make.
And not only that, it's all the comments. I get a lot of comments. And since I'm a small-time YouTuber, I answer every comment that I see. Some channels, you put a bunch of comments and nobody ever answers it. But on mine, you're always going to get that personal attention. Because as you know, my goal on YouTube, obviously it's not money because I've never made a penny off of it. And I'm not trying to promote a product. All I'm trying to do is meet people. I want to
Mm.
give people information, eventually meet them. So having that personal contact through the comments or other ways or on like this, collaborating or whatever, that's the goal. So as long as I'm doing that, then I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I've got a slightly different approach now, so I don't reply to every comment, but I will at least heart it just to say I've seen it. If this is an especially helpful or pleasant comment, I'll reply back. But I do get a bit of anxiety now, as I've kind of mentioned before. Like when you wake up every morning, you get nasty comments. It's like, for all the bad ones you see, there's like loads more good ones, but it wears you down a bit.
The amount of bad comments I've had has decreased significantly, and I think it's because it doesn't bother me. I usually make a quick response, or I get a good laugh out of it. I'll sit there laughing at some of these comments about how bad I am, how unhealthy I look, and I'm going to have a heart attack, and I hear this all the time. It's so funny. Oh, you look so thin. Oh, you're unhealthy. Oh, one person
You're
said
both.
that I looked
You're
red.
both.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I look red" or something like that. I'm like, I'm not red. It's just
You live in Florida where it's boiling hot.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for having a bit of a tan. Come on.
It's crazy. I think that the people, I don't know if they're losers or if they just have nothing better to do, but I think a lot of times they take it out. I think what they're trying to do is make us upset, and then they can get some kind of thrill out of that they're making our life miserable, and I think it's quite funny. Once in a while you get the vegan death threats, but I'm like, hey, I had one I responded to. I said, well, don't worry, I only eat vegans or something like that. And that person never made any more comments. It's true.
I
mean,
personally think they should be locked in a cell and never been given the key ever. So some of the ones I get, you'd be absolutely astounded by.
Really?
Some of them are really quite stalkerish. Yeah, they'll make alias accounts, and sometimes I post them on the community channel just to make a point. Like, come on, guys, if you're gonna make a comment, at least if you think it's a bit disrespectful, maybe don't put it. Maybe reword it or something, because otherwise you'll just get removed from the channel. That's the case with everyone so far, but I'm grateful for the pleasant comments I do get from people. They do overwhelm the ones that are negative in some way. Ultimately, my channel's growing the most it's ever grown this last month or two.
That's great.
Picked up 450 subscribers per month for the last 2 months. I was previously about 250. So something's working, which is good. Need to continue making content. I'm aiming for 10k by the end of this year.
Good.
Then I'll just ignore you, Rick, and won't have anything to do with you. Be too cool.
Well, I'm not worried about it. I think I get maybe 100 or so in a month, sometimes 50. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Like I said, either way, I get exactly the same amount of money from the channel, which is zero. And people want to join. They want to subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. That's great. I'll be making some more. The one thing I promise is you won't find videos like mine anywhere else. That I can guarantee.
That's for sure. Oh yeah. Well, thanks very much for copying on a last minute notice. Apologies for anyone that has joined, and hope for Jerome or anyone else to come on. Perhaps Sophie. Unfortunately, they both couldn't make it tonight. But perhaps in the near future they'll be around to join and answer some questions. I had a lot to drink just now. That's why I keep belching. It's not because I'm ill, in case someone's wondering. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Cheers, guys.
That's fine.